Welcome to Sports Connection. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director. I'm here with Mr. Tate Mathews. Tate, it's not the fall. It is the spring.
Yes.
It's not ESPN Classic.
No.
But we had a couple of big-time football events this past week that I know we're proud of. You were involved in the Wilco workout, which we talked about last week, sort of an opportunity for our tackle football players to showcase their talents in front of some college coaches, including FBS level. And it was a great event. You had your Saturday morning show on. I thought that was a great way to start it off. But from 8 to 11:30, Centennial High School on Saturday morning was buzzing.
It was buzzing. It was a great day. A little overcast, so that was good. The athletes didn't get too hot, but it was a great day. It was a great atmosphere, great venue. Centennial was the perfect place to have it. Had the show there. That was fun. You were on, and Coach Hester was on. I did not realize it until we got there. The college coaches cannot be on a compliance issue. So that's why we didn't have a couple of those guys on. But Krager was with us there. Charlie Pulliam was there. It was a great day. And emphasis on the THE in the Wilco workout. The emphasis is on the THE because it is the workout. It's the only one. It won't be. It'll try to be imitated, but it will not be duplicated. And you talked about it. I thought the tone was set when at 8:30. Now this thing don't even start till 9. Coach Lemansky Hall of the Clemson Tigers comes in his Clemson gear. Hey boys, when Clemson sent, so there's 10 on the field coaches, right? We're not talking about an analyst. We're not talking about a GA. We're not talking about a coffee getter. They sent one of their 10 on the field coaches to be there, and he's there at 8:30. Well, that speaks volumes to me.
Well, and I felt the same way. So there's always, especially if it's a new event, but the Wilcos or no matter what it is, that time leading up to it, there's this, I'd call it positive anxiety. You're a little anxious, but it puts you on your game a little bit.
Right.
So I'm running around trying to do my thing. You're setting up. We got the table getting set up. We got Kirby in the house at 6:15 in the morning looking for me.
Let's tell that real quick. So the show goes on at 8. Kirby Allen Kirby, who does all the live remotes for 104.5 The Zone. Great guy, right? Great heart, great passion for what he does. He's texting me at 6:15. Nobody's here. I forgot to tell you this. I'll show you. Nobody's here. Is this thing still happening at Centennial today? I'm like, it's 6:15, Kirby. Go ahead, sorry.
But that's who you want.
Yeah.
You don't want the guy at 7:55 saying, sorry, I got caught in traffic.
Any way you can start it on your cell phone? Yeah.
So you'd rather have that guy. So anyway, that's happening. We're talking. And then when Coach Hall walks in, he's got that look. You know he's important when you see him. Yeah, I don't know how to describe it.
No.
But
he has a presence.
He's got a presence. And I do want to shout out a couple groups. Number one, and we talked about this last week, our coaches.
Yeah.
59 of our coaches out there doing their thing. It all starts with the head coaches.
Yes.
You had them all geared up, the players and the coaches had the nice shirts on. But they took it serious.
Yep.
They were interested in what they were doing. That thing was, you wouldn't know that those guys didn't always practice together. It looked like clockwork in terms of how they did it. So I appreciate that. And I told the players afterwards, go thank your coach because they were willing to make this happen. They put in the work to make it happen. They gave up a practice for you guys, 10 guys from their individual schools to get an opportunity to meet with these folks. And I thought that part was special. There's some things we can do to get better. Anytime you do something, you got to improve. But it was pretty darn smooth from my standpoint in terms of what I witnessed. And I think it's just a matter of tweaking. Great comments and feedback from our coaches, our players, and those college coaches. Big thing being we get to stop in one place. Hey, I want to say this. I think it's important that we do it. Here are some schools.
Yes.
Arkansas State, Austin Peay, Ball State, Carson Newman, Clemson, Liberty, Lindsey Wilson, Maryville, MTSU, Navy, Purdue, Rhodes, Tennessee State, Tennessee Tech.
Can I get a wings up?
UT Chattanooga, Vanderbilt, Western Kentucky. I like because it's all kind of levels. And something else I thought was cool, and there's more of these that happened or going to happen. Mr. Ains out there at Page put out, I'm proud to announce that I got an offer from Austin Peay. That makes it worth it.
That's what it was about, right? You know, and they got to, I guarantee you, it's because they got to see him in person. That's what it's all about. Like, so he was probably on, no, not probably, he was on their board. There was something on Saturday, could have been just making sure he's really as tall as they say, whatever. It could have been the broad jump. I don't know what it was. He was on their board, but they had not pulled the trigger. Something that took place on Saturday, he got an offer from Austin Peay. It's awesome. It's what you want, man. It was really, really cool. And you mentioned all those schools. I think, you know, we mentioned Coach Hall at Clemson because it is. I mean, Clemson's, they are recruiting on a national level. So, but I think it's just as impressive all the way down. You know, you look at the Clemsons and the Purdue's and Coach Ashley Ingram of Navy was there, man. One of the service academies. That's really cool. But man, even more impressive to me is Maryville, Rhodes, Lindsey Wilson. Those guys don't fly here on school jets. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Maybe not because there's a local tie here, but I guarantee you, Coach Ingram flew here. Probably Coach Hall flew here. Those guys are driving in to do this, so I appreciate them coming because there's a place for the kids that play at that level, and I think those guys. Hey, you know that you get a Rhodes college education, you're not gonna have a hard time getting a job, right? Awesome. I think it was great. Liberty. It's not a short trip. Very cool.
You know, and here's the thing, and it's not, I know I've said this, and it's not to throw shade at the third-party events or the events that charge money, which, by the way, the FBS schools, I say it over and over because they never tell the parents. They can't go to those.
Right.
They can't go to those
They
events.
probably tell the parents they just didn't show up. No,
That's right.
they were never coming because they can't.
They can't come. So, again, not dogging that, but the way I will never believe it was they do at those camps what our coaches did.
That's right.
In terms of how they had it set up. Hey, and for our players, it's about the athletes, right? Give them an opportunity to go to one place to be exposed to these. And there'll be more next year. Someone that maybe didn't quite trust it through their compliance officer, they're going to go, oh, Clemson was there last year, I guess I can go.
That's right.
It'll be a lot more next year. But what I liked about it, the way it was put on, the apparel that they had on, which looked so professional, almost like a pro day.
It looked like the NFL Combine.
And the price for our players, free $99.
Yeah.
You can't beat that.
You know, we talk about this a lot. At least, you know, for me, I love it when these young people feel special.
Yeah.
Those young people felt special. And you're right. I thought it was really cool to see. I went down to the O-line. I spent a lot of time down there, and Coach Jackson, he was coaching his tail off, man. That's when you know a guy, and they were all like that. But I got to witness that. He's coaching the Centennial kids as hard as he was coaching his Fairview kids. And I'd hear him, hey, 35, what's your name? Where do you go to school? Summit. That's a good rep, son. That's a good rep, you know. It was awesome. I saw Coach Burkett down there doing the DB drills. It was really fun to watch, to see those guys coach the other kids. And you're right, you know, we know who Coach Hester is. We know who Coach Cole and down the line. But I think that was really good for those young guys, a lot of them are younger, for those assistant coaches to be seen in that light. You know what I'm saying?
And I've seen that, and I'm sure you have too, the programs that are really strong, that do those scrimmages against one another and the coaches are on the field, they kind of do that there too, the ones that really get it.
Right.
Hey, number 25 or 22, good job on that. That's what I loved about it.
Yes.
Everybody was all in on it, obviously working with their players, but also acknowledging those other kids from those other schools.
I will say this, y'all put a lot of time into this. You and the head coaches meeting. I know of at least 3 meetings that took place. Yes, it can be improved, but as far as the way it ran, I don't think there was much that can be improved. I thought y'all nailed it.
Well, I appreciate that, and it was certainly another one of those events for us that we want to say if you're moving to Middle Tennessee, this is where you need to be.
That's right.
Let's talk a little flag football. Another exciting event. Year 2 of the pilot program with the TSSAA and the Titans. We had Emily Corral from TSSAA stop by, Josh Corey and the crew from the Titans. Burke Nihill was in the house. Again, T-Rack.
T-Rack
was in the house when T-Rack shows up. And
it's a big deal.
Put a little tweet out there on social media. T-Rack was sitting up in the crowd, and I took a picture from behind and said, T-Rack taking a little girls flag football in. And T-Rack, he didn't say anything, but he retweeted it.
He did retweet it.
Which is probably hard with those big paws.
I was going to ask.
Give him an iPad.
Well, you ever try to shake his hand? He always fist bumps because he's got those. How does he tweet?
I guess
that's impressive, man. T-Rack's impressive. Voice tweet, maybe?
No.
He doesn't talk.
No, he doesn't. But listen, on this, the more things change,
the more they stay
the same.
Yeah.
The number 3 seed, and I'm going to give you credit, last week, now we messed up the final. We both had Ravenwood Franklin.
Yes.
I picked Franklin. I said, look, last 2 years they've been number 1. This is their year to win the tournament. You said I'm going with Coach Hester. You were right. They win back-to-back championships. And in the course of doing that, and I hate to do this to our Brentwood people, but I've got to do it. This week's gem. The Visor and the Raptors put 56 points on the board in round 1 in their win over Brentwood. That's the most in the 2-year flag football pilot program. And you think about that, it's 20-minute running clock per half.
That's hard to do.
So I'm assuming they scored all 8 times they had the ball.
That's the report I got back.
And got the extra point.
That's the report I got back. Eight possessions, 8 scores. And defensively, they gave up 0 in that game. That was about it. Well,
Coach Mancini.
That's as good. Coach Mancini, the defensive coordinator, the architect of the Raptor defense, no doubt about it. She did a great job, and we'll get into it in a bit. But that's the other thing I loved about it. Hey, they were attacking the football, flying around, turnovers. That's championship-winning football. Back to the bracket. I think I also got that.
No.
You did?
I think I got it.
Okay.
I
think I did.
You know what? I think you did.
Well, now, we both missed. Shout out to,
you're right. You did. You did.
Ravenwood winning it is a huge story, but Summit and Indy in the semis, and then Summit taking it all the way to the championship game. Great job by Coach Tate Martin.
I like his demeanor.
Yeah, man. He's a smooth cat.
Listen, we all know that having decorum on the sideline is important.
It's important.
And Coach Martin has it. Coach Martin has it.
He's a smooth operator.
Smooth operator. Wasn't there a song?
Yeah, Sade, and then how you say it? But, man, I don't know if you were paying attention then because you were probably in your first life as a basketball coach at Beach. Did you ever see Tate Martin play?
Like I don't know. Now, listen, I didn't see him play, but
I did.
When I saw Coach Stockstill,
little
Coach Stockstill,
yes,
I saw him at the Wilco workout. I said, "You looking for Tate Martin out here to throw a pass to?" He's like, he's not coming today, I heard. I think he's getting ready for the flag football tournament, which is
paid off.
And actually, Coach Martin's wife, she's going to have a baby any minute. So they're first. So I thought that was exciting too.
Yes.
Let's go through this bracket real quick.
Okay.
Indy is the 9 seed.
Yes.
Nolensville 13-7. Then that sets up our quarterfinal matchups. The seeds all take care of business, actually that's incorrect, in 2 of the 4. Brentwood, Ravenwood, 56-0 Ravenwood on the bottom of the bracket. Fairview, the number 2 seed, 21-12 over Centennial. Summit, 19-12 over Page. Remember, there was that 3-way tie.
Yes.
For third. Summit ended up on the bottom end of that, but they certainly stepped up. I know you're going to talk some stats in a minute. Nicole Rosani, basketball star, flag football star, had a great tournament. And then Independence in double overtime, 13-12 over Franklin. You were happy for Independence, but I'm telling you, my heart hurt for Franklin just because Coach Webb's done such a good job. He's so serious about it. They are 15-1 in regular season games in the 2 years and 1-2 in the tournament. So it's just one of those things that happens. So Shout out, hey, Miss Brown, as in signed with Texas to play softball. Not only is she strong, but she's fast.
She's fast. Well, that's why I was worried about Independence, because I've heard from the other coaches, she's scary good. If there's an all Wilco flag football team, first team, she's on it.
She's on it.
That was a huge win for sure.
It was a huge win. So that sets up our semifinals. Summit, I felt like Indy maybe ran out of gas a little bit. Summit with the 32-19 win over Indy, and then maybe the matchup of the day. Ravenwood, Fairview. Fairview had won during the regular season. 20-13, Raven won down on the practice field. That was one everybody was watching closely.
Yeah.
Fairview scores first. Ravenwood bounces back. Fairview scores again. Ravenwood ties it up. And then they end up getting the lead 2013. And here's what I loved about it. I heard this from a reliable source. That Coach Hester at the end of the game, it's 4th and 3. Team is up 20-13. He said, ladies, y'all decide. We going for it or we punting? And they said, we're going for it. They go for it.
Golly.
It works. Listen, all our guys do a great job, but whatever it is,
he's got it.
He's got it in spades. He really does. And listen, Dr. Vaden, taking pictures with him afterwards and coming on the field, she's like Dr. Qualls. Must be a doctor thing. They both can't hide
their affection,
love for the visor. Great win in the semi. And then in the final, Ravenwood was just a little bit too much, 26. And I know you're going to talk about a big defensive play that really secured that game. So talk of some specifics, Tate, about some things that happened in terms of stats.
Well, yes. A couple of things that I noticed, though, and I disagree with a lot of people. And it's no slight, it's no shot.
As long as it's not me, go ahead and disagree with them.
I think they did a great job. But I think on Sunday, I think the best two teams made it to the finals.
Oh.
I don't think that semifinal game was the game of the day. I think the championship game was the game of the day. And it ended up being 20-6, but down at the end of the first half, towards the end of the first half, Summit is in scoring position. As we know, there ended up being a penalty or two that moved them back, okay? I'm not here to debate whether it was the right call, not the right call. What I do know is this. They were in scoring position. They were moving the ball, and I think they were going to get it in. Okay, so we got a totally different ball game going into the second half because then
it was 13-6 at the time.
It was 13-6. It's getting ready to be 12-6, 13-all, and then that kind of changed how Summit had to play in the second half. But what I was impressed with, Nicole Razzani, as you mentioned, multi-sport athlete, she had over 106 rushing yards in the game. I thought Coach Martin did a great job of with the motion and the misdirection and getting her the ball running. I think we were there together. I saw her after the game. I said, hey, I just want to let you know I'm in it now. I enjoyed watching you play today.
It was fun.
She was fun. Over 106 rushing yards. Again, it's not a full game. And then on the Ravenwood side, that's the other thing I learned. If you're going to win, you better be able to run the ball. And that's what Ravenwood did a little bit different this year. They had the two-headed monster of Lori Crawford and Emma Rail. But let's talk about the Raptor defense. Macy Fowler, 5 pass breakups. Think about that now. 5 pass breakups. And then Bella Macasso.
Another great name.
A great name. Great player. 8 pass breakups in that game. 2 interceptions. One of them was had to have been the play of the tournament.
It was.
She takes that thing wire to wire, makes a great break on the ball, high points it. You don't just do that. That was Coach. She high points the ball, tucks it, and she takes that thing back across again, takes that thing to the house. It was a thing of beauty, man. It was the play of the tournament, but that was the difference. The Ravenwood pass defense.
It was really something special. So, again, appreciate all the folks who and Adidas and Mathews Team Sports involved in this too in terms of our gear.
They look great.
But TSSAA, the Titans, people can be upset about it or whatever they want. We coming.
We coming.
That's going to be a sport sooner than later in terms of a sanctioned sport.
Yeah.
It just is.
And you all were the first ones to do it. One, we talked about it a lot last year because because Mr. Nihill knew it would be done right. Coach Corey knew it would be done right. But at this point, as a district athletic director, don't talk about things you don't know, right? So there might be, but I just don't know what they are. As a leader of a school system, I don't know why if you're not adding it, I don't get it. Because what reasons do you have for not adding it? You can tell by the participation, the girls love it, or the young ladies love it. It's compared to other sports, it's relatively low cost to start. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't add it.
I think people would argue taken away from other sports, but my rebuttal would be this. We had 330 young ladies play. And honestly, in some situations, could have had more.
Yeah.
You're telling me we're going to say a sport that has 330 interested in playing it during a pilot process, we're not going to look at adding? I just think that would be irresponsible, to be honest with you.
I do too.
So I think that now we do have to figure out what time of year and all that kind of stuff, which, that's for TSSAA to figure out. Hopefully
I think you got to do it in the spring. I think it's worked out.
Yeah.
Yes, there's always going to be some things. And I tell you, I've heard you hint at it, but I heard a very well-respected coach say this weekend, I would be very careful making girls choose. That's how popular this is with the multi-sport young ladies.
Very careful. And it's worked in other states. All right, let's talk a little tennis, Tate. Let's move on here. I do want to give a shout out. We had the individual tournament. That basically means you're playing for your school, but not team points. That's this week. On the singles side, in boys, we had a final of Evan Lee. He defeats his own teammate, Nathan Lee, in the finals. Brentwood in doubles, they had both finalists as well. Brentwood High did. Smith and Victory over Miller and Gann. On the girls' side, Grace Stout, and then Maddie Darude. So Grace from Ravenwood, Maddie from Page, they both advanced to the regional tournament. And in doubles, the team of Carper and Messier of Franklin, Imordino and Abigail of Ravenwood advanced. And I did want to give a shout out to these two individuals. Player of the year in the district for the year on the boys' side, Brentwood, Evan Lee.
Yep. On
the girls' side, Franklin, Aubrey Carper. So congratulations to them. They're already getting that postseason thing going, Tate. So it won't be long that I'll be at Spring Fling watching one or both of our teams win the state tournament in tennis.
I agree 100%. And Carper and Messier.
Great names.
They are not only is that a great name, tag teams, because that's kind of a tag team. That they are a force to be mentioned with.
That's a squad.
A force to be reckoned with. That's a squad. They're up there with. That's up there with some of the. I like that one.
Dundee and Lawler.
The Road Warriors.
Hey, let's talk a little.
Rock and Roll Express.
Let's talk some brackets for baseball and softball. And I know these tournaments don't start till a bit later in the week, but if you look at 12 4A baseball, so let's talk baseball first. We've got Ravenwood, the number 2 seed, taking on Columbia. You got Nolensville, the 3 seed, taking on Summit, the number 4 seed. The winner gets Indy. Now, Indy is number 1, as we have talked about in this show. Indy's, they're moving on. So
because they won the regular season.
Because they won the regular season. So that's the bracket,
right.
How it's set up. Indy makes it. And then what I think is interesting about this, let's say you had a Ravenwood Summit final. You would have to win the final
to move on.
Yeah. If Indy's in the final, the other team that makes the finals in. So thoughts about that bracket. I really think that first matchup, Nolensville Summit, that's going to sort of determine the flow of the tournament. Because if you think about Indy, are they going to totally throw the arms out there like they could? Because that's what is tricky about it.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I think in the region you definitely do, right?
Yes.
But
have to.
You have to. But the thing with independence is what all of them have is, yes, you're moving on, but do you really want to go on the road? So
right.
No, that tells you how. And the other district will tell you this. It's not their fault. It's just the district. This is the tougher district.
It is.
You're talking about a 3-4 game that a state tournament caliber team is going home.
I think personally that whoever wins that Nolensville Summit first round game is going to be in the final.
Very good chance. But they both have to fire.
They have to.
There's holding nothing back in that game, which means you're going to see McElvain. Right?
That's going to be big boy baseball.
I mean, that's big boy baseball right off the bat. So, and I don't know enough about Columbia, but I know Coach Pickles, one of the great baseball coaches in the history of the state. So I'm guessing they're probably a state tournament caliber team. So all 4 of them are. So anyways, I think Independence fires all their bullets because I think they want to try to win this tournament.
You talking about Columbia?
Who'd I say?
No, I'm just saying.
What I'm saying is even the 5th in this one, that number 2,
Columbia's not making it.
Ravenwood, Columbia, that's a tough game.
I'm going to go all WCS on this one.
I didn't pick them. I'm just saying this is a tough district.
Hey, Columbia.
Thanks for playing.
If you need some plastic bins, you can head down to the Lowe's. They've got a nice box that you can do you can kind of fold it. You can kind of fold. You don't have to have the top. You know what I'm talking about?
Of course.
Where it's got the sides that you can kind of, those are great for storing uniforms.
Yeah. Or just go down to line, and Mr. Marbit's right down the road from you, and he's got some of those old bags, potato sacks. You can put them in there. Thanks for playing. Okay. Yeah. I think Independence plays to win this thing.
Let's talk about that other bracket.
Okay.
So you've got the number 1 seed, Centennial.
Yes.
Which is, I don't think that's a surprise. Franklin, Brentwood will play in the 2-3 game, and then Overton, Hillsboro, the 4-5. Now, I know the coach has had a decision, but when you look at the bracket, that other one I don't understand. The 3 and the 4, like this is set up like you would think. The 4-5s play, and the winner gets number 1.
Right.
And then the 2-3 play. But in the other one, it's the 3-4 and then 2 plays 5. It like doesn't even make sense.
I don't. And here's I meant to
But
say
I know
this
there's
too.
a reason. There's something about the pitching or.
I would love to hear what they say, but I think I know the answer. So you were talking about Independence. Independence goes through, right? Centennial's going through. This thing was set up back when they were, for the most part, all together. And that was such a grueling regular season that they felt like, the coaches felt like that the regular season champion needed to be rewarded. And I agree. I don't think they feel that way anymore with the way this was done. I think if you polled them, they'd say that both of these brackets need to be wide open.
So Centennial, unlike Indy, who's going to get Nolensville Summit winner, they don't have to pitch their best guy.
Correct.
So Centennial is going to advance because they're number 1, but Centennial's going to go right into the final. Right. I think it's Franklin Centennial, but the Brentwood Franklin game, whoever wins that game is going to be the second team. I think just because you get back behind the.
Correct. I think you're right, 100%. Yeah, that's a weird bracket. So what you're saying is Centennial's playing Overton, Franklin's playing Brentwood.
Right.
And as we know, any one of those 3 can beat the other one.
Let's talk a little softball once again, and I don't think anybody would argue. The better bracket, I mean, I know Brentwood, Centennial, but the better bracket's 12-4A in terms of real power, I think.
Yes.
To me, Summit and Nolensville are still kind of the teams. I mean, I know Columbia Central ended up being the 2nd seed, but I think it goes through Nolensville and Summit. If you look at that bracket, Nolensville the 1 seed. They'll play the winner of Independence Ravenwood in the 4-5 game. Columbia Summit play. Again, Columbia's number 2, Summit's number 3. I think when it's all said and done, it's going to be Nolensville Summit. Here's what I think is going to happen. And I may be wrong about this, and I don't want to jinx them like I did Franklin flag football. I feel like Nolensville's on a mission. How can Rylan Smith, she's got to get in the state tournament.
I mean,
And I think that's their focus, and I think they're going to. I do. Now, on that other side, you're talking about Brentwood. They're the number 1 seed. Hadn't been for a while. You've got them taking on Overton, Franklin Centennial matching up in the 2-3 game. I feel like how it's gone during the year, Franklin struggled a little bit with their pitching. Brentwood, Centennial will be the teams that move on there. So I think our best 4 are going to be in that region tournament. Brentwood, Centennial, Nolensville, Summit. That's my thought. What do you think, Tate?
I think you're right on. Nolensville, number 1 seed. Who's got the best pitcher?
Nolensville.
Okay. In the other bracket,
Brentwood,
number 1 seed. Who's got the best pitcher?
Brentwood. And what's interesting about softball as compared to baseball, and it's the natural motion, right? It's the natural motion of the arm. You see them play like 9 games in 3 days, and it's like the same pitcher. So we're not worried about how many games we play and that kind of thing. It's who's pitching.
And that's the good and the bad. If you got one, you can ride her all the way.
All the way.
If you don't, you better hope that the opposing one doesn't have a great performance on the mound, and you better hope your bats are hot. But
now, hey,
you're not going to get it. That's the thing. Like look at their scores. When Ryland's pitching or when Marina Mason's pitching, you're not going to score enough runs because you might get some, but they're not going to let you get that many hits.
That's right. No doubt about it. And did want to mention the grade 8. You and I went out to the grade 8 this past week, and it was great. Some of the highlights: Boulay with a big win in the 800, and Claire Stegall.
Claire Stegall. Okay, so check this out. Both of them. Let's talk about that. Boulay sets the grade 8 meet record. You know whose grade 8 meet record she broke? Hers. Stegall sets the grade 8 meet record. You know whose record she broke? Hers. It was unbelievable. We talked a lot about Stegall. Boulay, we watched it. That 800 was a thing of beauty.
It was.
She's got the prettiest form. She just looks like a top-notch runner. Audrey Miller, right in both the hurdles, but in the 300 hurdles, that was a dominating performance. Dominating.
Where's everybody else at?
Back there, they were back in Green Hills at the Shake Shack or whatever, still waiting on their order. And also, Sophie Yount, she won 2 events. What a great performance she had there. So I know we're missing a few, but those are just some performances that jumped out to me. And then, of course, the Lady Bruins of Brentwood, the 4x1 and the 4x4, take home both of those in the grade 8. That's a pretty good sign that they're going to be pretty successful.
And we had some young men.
Heck yeah, we did. We
show up too.
Yep.
We really. But
Hudson Elaine had a great performance. It was just. It's the best meet of the year.
It's pretty special.
And Wilco dominated it. Not all of it, but overall, boys and girls, Wilco dominated.
Well, when you're talking about anything that's distance oriented or relay oriented, and really those field events too, it's typically us.
Yes.
And so that's not changing. And it's one of those things that reminds me of the basketball tournament, the city in Memphis. You might win the state and not win the grade 8.
100%.
You might win the state and not win the city.
That's right.
Because it's the best ones.
It's the best ones.
Great meet. We'll be back.
Yep.
The rain didn't stop us, Tate Mathews.
I was going to say that. I don't know. I think his name is Mike Ham. I do not know him. He's the meet director. He never blinked. We're getting this in. Anything outside of lightning, I don't see lightning. I do see rain, but we're getting this in, and I'm glad they did because it was a great event. And that's one, it's so close to the postseason, you can't make it up. I'm glad they got it in. And again,
and hey guys,
look at it, there were 10 meet records set, so it didn't hinder the athletes too much.
And the hurdles are over. And then the 300 hurdles don't start 6:45. Can we start it early? No. We're starting it on time, which I like because you may be coming to watch.
That's right.
It's not like it's a real long wait, but start it on time.
Punctuality.
I liked it. Tate, appreciate you being here. I know it's been a big week.
This was a big week.
Rest up. I mean, you've got another job to do, so sorry to take you from it, but appreciate your being a part of it as always.
Thank you. Those 2 events this weekend, man, well worth the time. That was a lot of young people got to experience 2 very special things. So it was awesome to watch.
And one last thing I wanted to mention, We've got our field passes. They're in for
They're in.
TSSAA.
Thank you,
So,
Coach Gillespie.
so we'll be there. Looking
Yeah, I'm
forward
sure our good friend from Gallatin, Miss Positivity will be down there. She'll be looking for us. We're looking forward to being there. We'll have our cameras.
It's an iPhone 14 now. It was a 6, so it looks more legit.
You upgraded.
Thanks again, Tate. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
See you next week.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.